Welcome to the third episode of Cooking for Wellness at NYU Langone Health. I'm Chef Jeffrey Held. Today we are focused on combating inflammation with nutritious ingredients. Antioxidants act as anti-inflammatory agents, and antioxidants from food are far better than supplements because they're balanced with other nutrients. We're going to show you a nutritious recipe packed with vitamins and minerals, yet still really delicious and indulgent. We broke down a classic, a recipe that normally would be just basic russet potato, white flour, and lots of butter. We adjusted it with nutrient-dense sweet potatoes, whole wheat flour, nutmeg, lemon zest, fresh herbs, and extra virgin olive oil. Just a tiny bit of butter at the end. The idea is that it is equal or even more delicious, but utilizes healthier ingredients. Today we are making homemade sweet potato gnocchi with olive oil and thyme. Let's get started. Okay, so let's get started on our gnocchis. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna preheat the oven to about 375 degrees. Poke the sweet potato with a fork a couple of times, just to allow the air to escape. We're gonna put these in the oven, convection if you have it, and they're gonna be in the oven about 45 to 60 minutes. So they're just about ready. You're gonna take a small knife or a skewer. You just wanna gently allow the skewer to go through the potato. And as long as there's no resistance, you're ready to go. We're gonna take the potatoes, and we're gonna begin to peel, and we're gonna pull the flesh from the potato. You wanna do this while they're still warm. Much easier. So now that the potatoes are peeled, still slightly warm, we're gonna take a fork. We're gonna go ahead and fork mash them. I prefer to mash them with a fork because I don't honestly want to process them too much. I don't want them overly smooth. I prefer to have slight chunks of sweet potato in the finished product. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little salt, fresh black pepper. We're gonna take some Parmesan cheese, about a half cup. We're gonna take some fresh nutmeg. We're gonna grate it. We're gonna take the zest of one lemon. The lemon zest adds a real wonderful brightness to the gnocchi. We're gonna beat one egg. Making the gnocchis it's basically, you don't wanna work the dough. You wanna work the dough as lightly as possible. So anytime you can add an ingredient that's already been mixed, I think it's a win. So now I'm gonna do as much mixing as I can to incorporate the ingredients before I add my flour, so I don't overwork the flour while I'm making it. I'm gonna take 1 cup of whole wheat flour. I'm gonna take about 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. And we're gonna do our best to mix while it's in the bowl, very gently, with the spoon in the beginning. Take a little flour, dust your surface. I also like to use a little bit of cornmeal mixed with my flour. And then we're gonna go ahead and transfer this dough out of the bowl. Being as gentle as we can, just trying to make sure we're well incorporated. I'm gonna take 1 piece. We're gonna very gently, making sure our hands are nice and floured, begin to roll it out. So we're gonna roll out your dough to about 1 to 1.5 feet long. We want it to be about 1 inch wide. We're gonna go ahead and cut, figure about 3/4 of an inch piece. If you don't have the gnocchi board, you can quite simply use average dinner fork. You're gonna make sure you have flour on the actual tines of the fork, and we're just gonna go ahead and roll it right down the fork. Honestly, it's really okay. Don't worry about how perfectly you're making them. Any type of groove and texture is gonna have fantastic results. This is also a wonderful time to ask for help. So if you have friends or family around, especially little kids, great time to help out. So we're just gonna transfer them after they've been rolled to a nice floured and cornmeal lined baking sheet. What we wanna do is we wanna now air dry for at least an hour. If that's not an option, insider trick is to give them about 10 minutes in the freezer. Okay, so our gnocchi is ready to cook. We have a large pot of boiling water. We're gonna add some salt, and you're gonna go ahead and add this in batches, because if you put too much, they'll stick. You're gonna take a slotted spoon, or I have a spider here, and just slightly agitate the water. You don't want to overly stir before they set, or they can end up sticking together. I take a nice baking sheet with parchment paper, a little olive oil. As they come to the top of the water, give it just about a little bit less than a minute more, and we're ready to go. I'm gonna transfer these to my olive oil lined baking sheet. Okay, so now we're ready for the best part. We're gonna add some olive oil to a nice hot pan. So we're gonna carefully add our gnocchis. So we're gonna add some fresh thyme to the pan. Careful, it will spurt up. Let that oil move around, but don't touch the gnocchis. Let them brown. We caramelize the outside is where we get our real nice, crispy, flavorful exterior. Take some fresh pepper. So once you've developed a nice, even browning on both sides, and you can see they're nice and crispy, we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of vegetable broth to the pan. And just as a last and final step, we're just gonna go ahead and add a tiny little bit of butter just to finish it off. And we're ready to go. Thank you for tuning in. Have a happy and healthy holiday season.